Okay, I'm going to start with the bar and the stem and putting that all together with my trigger shifter and my display unit. So when I measure my wire, how much wire I need to go from the bar and the display unit down the down tube, I get an accurate measure how much wire I need. So the first thing I'm going to do is set the bar up. This bar came with a 740 millimeter bar, and I cut it down to, let's see what I cut it down to, 680. So I cut 30 millimeters of bar off each end. I just didn't want really wide bars. We don't really need the wide bars here in Florida. So I made them a little narrow. We got a lot of trees to go through, so the wide bars would be too wide. So anyway, I cut them down, and how I cut them down, you gotta be really careful with carbon fiber. I just used just a plain hacksaw blade, and I didn't even use the housing for the hacksaw blade because I wanted to be really accurate how I cut through the carbon, making sure it was really square. So I did it really slowly, and I did it by hand with this. And of course I used latex gloves because you want to make sure you don't get any of those little carbon fiber bits and pieces in your skin, because it's not good. You don't want to breathe them in either. So be really careful when you're cutting carbon fiber. And then on the ends, I just cleaned up the ends with some sandpaper. Got them all nice and smooth and clean on the outside, and then I sandpaper the inside to make sure it was all nice and smooth. So that's the bar and how I prepared the bar. Now I've got my stem. I'm actually going to angle. This stem can either go up or down. I'm actually going to angle the stem up to start with, and so let's put the stem on there, and then put the components on, just kind of see how everything lines up. Okay, to put the stem on this bar, I'm going to use a little bit of this fiber grip around the stem attachment area, just to make sure we get a good grippy force on this bar. It looks like they got some sort of treated surface here, but I'm going to put a little of this on here anyway, just so that makes sure we got a nice good grip from our stem onto our bar. A lot of this will just be wiped off later, but where it attaches will be a nice firm grip. So this is a 31/8 millimeter bar with a 23 millimeter rise, a 9-degree sweep, and a 5-degree tip. And there we go. So that's on there. So now we're going to put the stem on. Now you can see this little line that I have in the middle. This is where I approximated with a ruler from end to end what the center was. So I'm going to provisionally tighten approximately where I want to have the bar, and then I'm going to measure to make sure I've got it centered. So I'm just going to take my Allen key here. We're going to snug those down. Got it pretty much where I want it, with the line centered in the little window there. And next I'm going to measure to make sure I've got the right place before I final tighten it. Okay, so I've snugged it on there, and I measured from the end to the tip of this bolt. Came out 333 millimeters, and I'm just going to measure from the tip to this other bolt, and it came out to the same 333 millimeters. So I know I got my bar centered. I got the bar the approximate angle that I want as far as how I want the rise and the sweep. Then I'm just going to finish tightening it off, and then using a torque wrench to give it the final tighten. And I'm going to use my torque. Okay, so now the bar is set to go at 8 Newton meters. No more than 8. So what we're going to do is we're going to tighten this up. Got my torque wrench set. You're supposed to tighten these top ones down first, these ones up first, and then tighten the bottom ones. Go back and forth. good. So we got the bar on there. Next thing we're going to do is assemble the components onto the bar. Okay, now I've got the components assembled on the right side of the bar so I can see how long my wiring needs to be. So what I figured out was, if I look at the back here, is that I'm going to use this 150 millimeter wire that go from the display unit over to my trigger shifter, and that works out just about right. And then when I set this on the bike, the display unit is actually pretty close, so I can use a 1200 millimeter wire that goes from the display unit down into the bike frame through one of the holes that was actually going to be used for a derailleur cable, a rear derailleur cable. It's going to go down there into the frame where it's going to meet all the other wiring in the bottom bracket. So I've got that all assembled. One thing that also comes with the display unit is a larger clamp to clamp onto a much larger bar. This is the one for the 31/8 bar. I think this starts at like 35 millimeters or something like that. So that comes with that. So anyway, so that's the bar assembled with the stem. We're going to move on to the wiring into the frame.